Alright, here we go, finally. The first steps into the world of Starfield, the latest Bethesda game. Welcome back, ladies, gents, and extraterrestrial Etherians. Perhaps the humble Pikachu has yet to be discovered in any of these planets, so what we're going to look at is Starfield, the pros and cons, what it is and what it is not, and the reason it's getting so much criticism, despite being okay. So let's have a look. First of all, to me, it is not an RPG. There's no role-playing element to this game. You get a preset character given to you, who you can style, you can give the different race and hair, or you can choose the gender, but past that there's no meaningful decisions to be made in the game with respect to you and your character. You can change things that happen in the universe, but they don't necessarily personally affect you in any way. It's not your character, is what I'm saying. That being said, the story beats are good. If you just follow the story missions and you completely ignore everything else, I mean, you can do some side missions too, they're pretty good in places. And if you stick to that and you don't expect exploration, you know, you're not expecting a No Man's Sky flyover or, any kind of depth in that way, if you're just looking for a cool story and good graphics, then you're going to be pleased with this game. And the shipbuilding and the base building, they're a bit finicky, but I enjoy those kind of things. So if you like those, this is going to be right up your street. See, the problem is Todd Howard's marketing. In the marketing, he made this seem like a different kind of game to what it is. He made it seem like it was going to be Skyrim in space. You know, more deep, with more locations, and that's just not what the game is. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be disappointed. And I feel like that is the mainstay of the criticism of this game. Outside of the bugs and the usual Bethesda jank, which it will be solved with bug releases, you would hope. No, aside from that, like I say, if you stick to the curated, the artist-created pieces of the game, not the procedurally generated stuff, which is actually pretty bland. People saying, oh, you can't explore the whole planets or you can't fly about in space. There's nothing there to see. That's why they've done that. If you could fly about in space, you'd be saying, oh, it sucks, it's boring. But there's always the chance that with updates in future they will add a ton of stuff to all those 1,000 planets, because at the moment the ones you visit with the story missions, like I say, are good, but the rest of them are just empty. And without emergent gameplay of the style of No Man's Sky, where you kind of traipse about, you find something, it leads you to something else, you mine it kind of generates procedural missions rather than just stuff to look at. So that works, but I mean, even that gets samey. So that's not something you'll really enjoy in this game. But like I say, the areas that are packed full of stuff that artists have actually made, they're really good. You'll definitely enjoy those. So sticking to those, the base building and that kind of thing, you're going to get your money's worth. It's 50, 60 quid. That's the price of a game these days. And if you're a Bethesda fan, it's going to be for you, isn't it? So yeah, I think I can see why people are criticising it. They wanted it to be something that it turned out not to be. And they were led in that direction by Todd Howard's marketing. However, there's plenty of fun to be had here. I mean, I enjoy No Man's Sky. I do like traipsing about vast empty spaces, as long as there's the odd thing to find. Fallout 3 was a great example of that. It had a huge map, and it was generally filled with empty, broken buildings and enemies. That was it. There was very few actual good locations filled with stuff. But what they did provide was a lot of side content. So you found like decent weapons, there was great loot, there was really weird like aliens and stuff like that. Stuff you might not have expected, and goofy a lot of the time. But it just added to the immersion, and it was a real open world sandbox game. Whereas I don't think this is, like I said. So enjoy it for what it is. Don't expect too much of it in the ways it was not intended, even if the marketing led you in that direction. And you'll have a great time with this game. Well, that is provided you don't hit into any game-breaking bugs, which there seem to be a few knocking about, to say the least. So we'll have a look at some of those. But I mean, just to cap off the positive bit of the game, before I go into the bugs and the crappy stuff, is, I think Bethesda are going in a new direction now. They're trying to get away from being an Elder Scrolls-only company or a Fallout-only company. They want to start doing more things, and I think the partnership with Microsoft, or the investment they've got from Microsoft, is going to promote them in that direction. So they'll end up doing gambling games, maybe, phone games, things like that. Microtransactions are definitely going to feature in future. I mean, Microsoft love those, so we're going to see those. But in terms of Bethesda game studios, I think we're actually going to see a more mature version of them in future, so maybe this wasn't all it was cracked up to be. And once again, Todd's marketing has strangled the project. But who knows, with a few months of updates, it might do really well. There's enough of a game here to enjoy, and a lot of people really love this game. So yeah, in conclusion, for me, it's not an RPG, it's an adventure-style story game set in space, with procedurally generated exploration elements added on top. They're like a fancy gimmick that they've shoved on the top of it. But the main game is doing the story missions, shooting, collecting things, building your character up to be, a thief or an assassin or an out-and-out gun guy. Whatever you choose your guy to train in, he'll have that job. But in terms of his actual character, there's no karma system or there's no real consequences. You can shoot a bunch of people, come back later, and it's like you never did it. So... yeah, it's not an RPG. But like I say, it's not a space sim either. If you want that, go and buy No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, even Star Citizen, stuff like that. So yeah, now we'll move on to the bugs. So there's a few funny bugs in there. So during this conversation here, I noticed in the background, there was an enemy that shouldn't have been there. So it didn't suspend that during the cutscenes. And a lot of the bugs I did see were during these cutscenes, with characters getting in the way or just not responding or not turning their phones off like me, you idiot. Don't do that again. So yeah, the bugs are... I really enjoyed them, being as I wished I had made an effort and been a developer when I was younger. I find these things fucking hilarious.
What are you doing?
See, here we go again. Get out of the way.
What are you doing?
But yeah, aside from that, like I say, if you are a Bethesda game studio guy, then despite not being that impressed with this game, you should probably invest in it anyway, so that they have money and inclination to keep making these games. And I do think Starfield is an IP they're going to stick with, so we'll see a Starfield 2 and 3 and so on. So that's it, ladies, gents, Pikachus and aliens. My advice remains the same. Wait for a sale. Don't buy this now. Wait till it's been updated or it drops in sale. And then, yeah, you'll have a good time with it. And I think Starfield 2 is definitely going to be a classic. Based on what they've got here, there's enough of a good game here to make a compelling sequel. So look out for that, and I'll see you next time. Bye now. Bye. Bye.